Namaste and welcome everybody to class this morning. So beautiful to have so many beautiful people wanting to practice their yoga on this Easter weekend. I'm sure to many of us it feels slightly surreal, but we're all doing marvelous work to stay grounded and energetically connected to each other, and these classes certainly help with that. And I know that as we continue, as we started to create and use the power of our healing even before we had to go into lockdown, for those of you who do my yoga regularly, I know that you are continuing to walk that path, sending out your powerful healing to the universe, to your loved ones, and then beyond that to those whom you love, and that love being on a universal level. So sitting now in easy pose with the spine straight, the navel slightly engaged, the shoulders relaxed away from the ears, and having an awareness of the breath to begin with. So just close the eyes and take a moment to feel into your natural, spontaneous breath. Be aware of this breath entering the body, and let there be 3 streams entering each nostril. One being the air entering the body, 2 the prana separate from this, and 3 your consciousness or awareness. Simply be aware of these 3 streams entering the body through the nostrils, sending support and healing to all aspects of your being. Your material body, the emotional and mental aspects of yourself connected to the material body, the soul beyond these, and then the connection from the soul through to the spirit. Send this beautiful energy, consciousness, and breath to all these aspects. And with the body now still and stable, we'll move into our 3 rounds of Triambakam, the Mahamrityunjaya mantra. And then we're going to move straight into the arms. And we'll close the class with some Shanti. So we're just going to move straight from there. We'll do 1 Swaha at the very end. We'll do 4 rounds today, and then we'll move into some arms. On the next deep inhalation. Om Triambakam Majamahe Sugadnam Pushtivardhanam Uvayukam Uva Bandhanat Mrityo Mokshiyam Amritat. Om Triambakam Majamahe Sugadnam Pushtivardhanam Uvayukam Uva Bandhanat Mrityo Mokshiyam Amritat. Om Triambakam Majamahe Sugadnam Pushtivardhanam Uvayukam Uva Bandhanat Mrityo Mokshiyam Amritat. Om Triambakam Majamahe Sugadnam Pushtivardhanam Uvayu Kamova Bandanat Mrityo Mukshiyam Amratat Swaha. Deep inhalation moving into the first arm. One more. Transferring your awareness back to the body first of all, and move into an awareness of the outside edges of the body. Then move inside and be aware of the subtle body. You feel a different, locate your energy body. And as you next inhale, breath awareness at the nostrils, send the energy, the breath, the awareness back to the outside edges of the body, and become aware of these, become aware of the outside edges of the body. Start to bring a little gentle movement towards the body. Just start with perhaps curling and flexing the toes. And then take your hands, if they're not already, and rest them palms down on the knees. As you next inhale, eyes open or closed, it doesn't matter which. Inhale, slide the hands back towards the hips and draw the shoulders up towards the ears. Exhale, slide the hands back to the knees. Inhale, draw the shoulders up as high as you can towards the earlobes. Exhale, slide the hands along the knees. Inhale. Exhale. Once more. Inhale. You can push the hands into the knees and draw the shoulders up a little higher. Tuck the chin into the chest a little. And then exhale, release. Dropping the hands down by the sides. Hands resting palms down or fingers down towards around the hip area. And as you next inhale, spread the arms out as wide as you can. Lift them all the way up. Link the wrists and push all the way through towards the sky, drawing the arms back alongside the ears. And then exhale, wide arms all the way down. So really quite exaggerate the wide-armed aspect of the asana, as if trying to reach the fingers out towards the opposing sides of the room. Inhale, repeat, sweeping arms wide out to the side, open through the heart space, filling the lungs, link the wrists, push higher towards the sky. Keep the knees down towards the ground if you can. Keep the navel engaged. Exhale and release. And I'm going to ask that you do this twice more in your own time. When you finish this, placing the hands, palms down on the knees, being aware of the hips and being aware of the Muladhara region in around the neck of the cervix or the top of the perineum for men. If you know Mula Bandha, then you could practice a little Mula Bandha with your in-breath as you inhale, drawing up through the pelvic walls and floor area, isolating the buttocks off, leaving the buttocks, the anus completely alone, although this can be hard, so it takes practice. You inhale, draw Mula Bandha in by drawing these muscles up and inward, lock it on, and then as you exhale, you release. So as we flow through a little torso rotating, feel free to keep this in connection with the Mula Bandha. Keep the navel engaged, drawn back towards the spine. Hands are on the knees. We're going to ask you to hinge forward. The chest comes forward first, hands on the knees, elbows bent out to the side. As we next inhale, sweep the torso over towards the left knee, and then start to move the torso backward. So perhaps so far that the arms are fully extended, knees still firm to the floor, and then sweep all the way around to the right knee and then back to the center. That's one rotation. And now moving in your own time, I'm going to ask you to do 6 more rotations in each direction. You'll pause at the center before moving to the opposite direction. You can make the torso circle small depending on how you feel today, or you can make them larger. Hold on to the knees, extend through the arms, come back as far as you like, and you'll notice that you need to have more engagement with your abdominal muscles, the muscles in the core. And yeah, so they can be as small or large as you like, and if you feel like making them a little bit more dynamic and flowing, please feel free to do so. 6 in each direction. And when you're finished and there's no hurry, you'll pause at the center. If you feel that you need to at any time close off your video because it's affecting the quality of the stream coming through to you, then feel free to do so. So with the hands still on the knees now, the navel contracted, we're going to inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, hinge forward from the hips, bringing the forehead down towards the floor, just as much as feels comfortable. Keep the sit bones attached to the floor. Inhale, rise, extend through the arms, draw taller. Sorry, the arms stay on the knees, but we're just extending through the arms, keeping the shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, forward. And I'm going to ask you to do this once more, returning to upright at the end of this. And then I'm going to ask you to stack one fist on top of the other and place them on the floor in front of you, and place your forehead down on the floor. If this doesn't feel possible, then take a moment to grab a cushion or a blanket, rolled up mat, whatever you have at home, and place it underneath your hands to raise them up off the floor, But otherwise, the fists are stacked one on top of each other, and the forehead comes to rest on the fists. Once you've lowered yourself down, you may be able to feel your belly, or hopefully you'll feel your belly on your thighs. And I'm going to ask you to move into 5 deep abdominal breaths. So as you inhale deeply, the belly swells into the thighs. And as you exhale, the belly's drawn back to the spine. When you've finished this, there's no hurry. When you've finished this, you'll contract the navel and you can push the fists into the ground for support if you like, and you will gradually come all the way back up to upright. And I'm going to ask then, when you're up and upright, that you take an inhalation and an exhalation here. And then reaching your left arm out along the mat beside you. Reaching the left arm out, steepling the fingers, reach the left arm out. Inhale the right arm alongside the ears. And then we're going to exhale over towards the left. Now the left hand can continue to walk out along the floor and come into a little lateral side bend. If you can, have the left arm alongside the ear. Continue to walk, keep the navel engaged, and keep the sit bones on the floor. You can draw up through Mula Bandha again, keeping your root lock on to keep you grounded. And then on the next inhale, we're going to slide the left arm back and reach the right arm towards the sky. Push the knees into the floor. We'll lower the right arm down now. Inhale the left arm alongside the ear. Walk the steepled fingers of the right hand out along the mat and come into another little side bend. Feel that deep stretch up through from the hip, the large muscles flanking from the hip around to the spine, the quadratus lumboris muscles. Keep the navel drawn back, locking in the abdominal muscles to help support you. Feel the upper arm alongside the ear. If you want to bring your gaze in, you can raise the gaze towards the upper arm, or the eyes can be closed, or the drishti out in front of you, whatever feels right. Continue to hold, inhale and exhale, and perhaps soften a little further. If you can, an awareness of both sit bones attached to the floor and the knees soft to the floor. One more deep inhalation, extend a little further, contract the navel, exhale, and then on the next inhalation, slide the right hand back towards the hip, extend the left arm towards the sky, and lower the left arm back down to the earth. Now I'm going to ask you in your own time to do this once more to each side, holding for 3 breaths to each side. Keep the navel contracted, knees soft to the floor. Mula Bandha if you want to use your lock. And try and keep the body in a nice, beautiful line. Try not to let the torso fall forward or the torso fall backwards. And this beautiful line with the arms and the hips. If you can, the arm is lengthened and straight. Lovely. When you finish, your arms will just be back down by the sides. And there's no hurry, keep doing your stuff, but then I'll just talk you through that. Before we come to lay down, we're going to do one little hip opening asana. And we're going to incorporate a little twist with it. So I'm going to ask that you lean back a little, connecting sit bones and sacrum to the ground. Lift the knees, uncross the legs, stretch the legs out long in front of you, contract the navel back towards the spine. Leaning a little forward, taking hold of the left leg, draw the heel all the way into the groin and hug the thigh into the belly. And then lift the left foot, place it over the extended right leg where it feels comfortable. If it feels comfortable to have it high towards the right hip, then feel free to do this. What you might like to do to begin with is I'm not going to give you a count. You can hold on to the knee and the foot of the left leg, and you can do a few of these little swaying, opening hip movements. Opening the hip out. Should be nice and fluid, and just do a few. Keep the spine as straight as you can, the navel engaged, and then when you're ready, replace the heel back towards the hip. It doesn't need to be touching the hip. This is only if this feels comfortable for you. But as close up the thigh towards the hip as is comfortable, and the spine is straight. Placing the foot down now, and I'm going to ask with you to hold the right hand. Take the right hand onto the left foot, hold the foot, place a hand and gentle pressure on the left knee, bouncing the knee towards the floor. Please be safe and careful here. Don't overextend. Keep our knees safe. Just gentle bouncing movements. You should be feeling it, the movement in your hip, not pressure on your knee as you soften the knee towards the floor. Feel it through the adductor muscles, insides of the thigh also, and into the groin. And then pausing. We're going to inhale, arms out wide to the side, and then we're going to pivot the torso all the way around towards the left-hand side. So open heart out towards the left side of the body and the left knee. And then bring the right hand in, back of the hand to the thigh, the left thigh, and bring the left arm in, steepling behind the spine Chin in neutral, looking out over the shoulder, navel engaged. If when you're in the twist, you can, you'd only be able to do this if your toes right up towards your hip, you can reach around and take hold of the toes to deepen into the twist. Don't feel that you need to do this. If you are in and this is something that you enjoy and can do and you'd like to deepen the twist, feel free to do so. And hold, breathing. Try not to lean too far back if you can. The hands steepled behind the back is to try and keep the spine reasonably upright. And your navel engaged is helping to keep the torso steady also. So the hand behind you is not for you to lean back into. Just an awareness of this. One more deep breath here in the twist. And the breath awareness was hopefully traveling either through Sushumna or the Mahanadi. And then exhale and revolve the torso all the way back to forward facing. And what we'd like to do now, I'd like you to do now is we're just going to have a little forward bend with our heel where it is, and it might feel a little strange to you who haven't done it with me before, but what we do want is we want the heel pressing into the belly as we inhale and exhale fully deep abdominal breaths and have this pressure, and usually around the lower belly, but that also depends where your foot is. It could be the upper belly, but all as well. Inhale, arms up alongside the ears, soften the knee to the floor. Exhale, pivot forward from the hips and slowly extend the upper body along the extended right leg, feeling the heel pushing into the belly, inhaling and exhaling deeply 3 times. So if you've joined us a bit late, a couple of people have, a lot of the people have their cameras on today. Their audio is still off, but they have their cameras on so that it's a little more interactive, and we're checking this for to see if the picture is still clear. So some people do not have it on and don't feel that you need to, but if you'd like to turn your camera on, please feel free to. When you've finished your 3 deep inhalations, contract the navel, come all the way back up to upright. We'll unhook the heel, hug the heel all the way back into the groin area where we started, so the hip is aligned, and then we'll stretch the leg out long in front of us, foot flex back towards the hips. And then we're going to lean in and take the next side. So we're going to the right side, and we're going to complete the same movements on the right side. So we're going to take hold first of the foot and the knee of the right foot and knee, and open the hip up a few times, swaying from side to side. If you do turn your video on and it interferes with the quality of how I'm streaming to you, then just please feel free to turn it back off again. When you're opened up, I'm going to ask you to take the heel, place it to the hip towards the hip of the left leg, and then move into your series of bouncing with the knee. You're going to have one side that is tighter than the other side. That is always normal, and so just be aware of that, of not overextending that knee down towards the floor. So small bounces, but you can still feel the extension through the hip flexor, the quadratus lumboris. The back is still straight, the navel engaged, and the gentle pressure as we bounce. And we're going to do this a few more times before we move into the twist and the forward bend. to move through reasonably rapidly so we can fit in all the postures that I've planned for today. And letting it go there, repositioning your heel if you feel that you need to, softening the knee to the ground. Inhaling, arms out wide to the side, open through the heart. And with the arms still as they are, revolve the torso all the way around to the right side now. Revolving the torso, and then place the back of the left arm in at the right thigh, steeple the right hand in behind the spine, and look out over the shoulder. The right shoulder, now the chin stays in neutral as you look out over the shoulder. Taking at least 3 full breaths here, in and out, and remembering that that hand behind you is to help keep the spine nice and straight. And when you're ready, you're with the contracted navel, you will pivot all the way back around to forward facing again. Release the hands. And get ready to do this forward bend where the heel presses into the belly. Inhale, reaching the arms up alongside the ears, extend through, tall from the sit bones all the way up. Feel that beautiful stretch through the back, the big muscles on either side of the spine, and then exhale, hinging forward from the hips. Fold the upper belly along the extended left leg. You don't want to feel any deep pain or anything in the knee, and feel free if you need to have that knee propped on a cushion, that's all good, but you should feel the heel into the belly somewhere, and the deep breath in and out. When you finished your 3 full breaths, you will slowly unhinge, reversing, coming all the way back up. You will unhook the heel off the thigh, draw the heel all the way into the groin, realign the hip with the socket, and then stretch the leg out long once again. And then when you find yourself in Premaloka Sthiti or base position, you'll engage with your navel and roll all the way down to Shavasana. Roll all the way down to Shavasana. We should have nice open hips now, and from there we're going to move up the body and do some work with Manipura chakra behind the navel. A little bit more work with the abdominal muscles and building this fire, the heat within the Manipura, sending it throughout the body. So before we start to move, please take 3 full inhalations and exhalations, swelling the belly, lifting the navel towards the sky, and then be aware of the navel falling back to the spine. Okay, so we're going to start to move again. To begin with, we're just going to do a little series of leg lifts, and then we're going to move into some Pawan Muktasana 2 series, so a form of cycling the legs. But to begin with, bring the hands in by the sides, palms to the floor. If you're feeling that you would like some more stability and help with your back and your abdominal muscles, then please create the little diamond shape with the two hands, 4 fingers and thumbs, and place this in at the sacrum area to keep you anchored to the floor. That's the first modification. The second modification would be that you can lift your legs from bent knees. So you could just bend your knees a little or a lot. So there's the two modifications, and the original will be that you're coming to this from full Shavasana, palms down by the sides towards the palms to the floor. So I'd like to ask you to keep a full awareness of the navel and keep this contracted throughout, because it is the support from the belly that's going to enable you to lift the legs, protect the back. On the next inhalation, I'm going to ask that you inhale and lift the legs to about 30 degrees off the floor. I'm going to ask you to be aware that most people always come far too high. So lift about 30 degrees, bearing in mind that 90 is straight to the ceiling, 60 is about, if you drop back to 60, and then if you drop back to 30, so you're only probably about not even 30 centimeters off the floor, and then exhale and release. So the next is 60. Inhale, lift the legs up to 60 degrees. So we've definitely got some legs at 90 degrees. And then exhale, lower. That's better. Exhale, lower. And then next, inhale all the way up to 90 degrees. This time, the soles of the feet will be facing the sky. And then as you next exhale, flex the feet, the toes will come back towards the face, and you will lower heels first down to the ground, feeling into the lower abdominal muscles, which are much more engaged when the feet are flexed back. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do this in 3 breaths, and we're going to do it all together. If it feels too much of a strain for you, then once again, keep your knees bent. And if you prefer to just stay at the low level, then do this. I will cue all 3. Inhale, lifting the legs to the 30 degrees. Exhale and hold. So don't lower, exhale and hold. Inhale, move them to the 60. Exhale and hold. Lots of people too high on the 60. Now inhale and lift them to the 90. And then as you exhale, flex the feet back and lower the heels towards the floor. The reasonably strong on the abdominal muscles is this little series of asanas. So please modify in any way you can. Now that you've gone through one round, if you feel that you need to slip the hands underneath the back or bend the knees, feel free to do so. And we're going to do this again. I'm going to give you another option. So I'm going to give you the option of moving through with 1 breath per set, as we just did, 3 breaths in total, or you can extend it out to 2 breaths, 6 in total, or 3 breaths, 9 in total, depending on how strong you feel today. So please, in your own time, move into 2 more rounds of the 3 degrees of the legs, and choose whether it's 1, 2, or 3 breaths that you hold. The most strain is always at the 30 degree, and that's, I think, why people mainly head straight to 60. But if you can be aware of keeping low to the floor on that 30 degrees. Take your time. Take your time, and when you are ready, you will just come back to Shavasana and come to that deep inhalation and exhalation at the navel. But we'll go into that, the yogic breath. When you do come down, finish your rounds, take your time. And when you do come to rest, you'll inhale, flood the belly, move the inhalation up, expand and lift the rib cage. Another little inhale as you fill the lungs to the very top around the clavicular area. And then you'll exhale down the body, out the soles of the feet. And everybody's resting in Shavasana. We'll give this one more breath here before I ask you to then come up onto your elbows. When you're ready, coming up onto the elbows. We're going to start this from the elbows. If you feel that it's that there's a little bit of too much of a strain, then you can feel free to come down to Shavasana and do exactly the same rotations from Shavasana. Some people find it's preferable and a little less dynamic to be doing this from Shavasana, but we'll all start on our elbows, and I'll ask you to intuitively really stay connected to the physical aspect of the body as well, and guide yourself safely through this little series of cycling. So we start, I'm going to ask you to start with the right leg. Contract the navel. The hands can be in like to underneath the hips a little bit as you're on your elbows, and the thumbs pointing towards each other, even touching. You contract the navel, lift the right leg up towards the sky, bend the knee and bring the thigh in towards the belly as much as you can, and then start to run the toe out just above the surface of the floor and lift all the way back up. And so all you're doing is these over exaggerated movements of cycling a bike. That's it, it's very simple. Now the breath is just fluid and spontaneous throughout. Breath fluid and spontaneous throughout. Once again, if you feel that there's too much strain, you can come to the floor, laying in Shavasana to do this. Keep the navel contracted. You do want to feel it in your belly. So you do want to feel the fire or the heat being activated within the belly. Once you've done about 6 or 7 in one direction, then reverse the direction. And you would simply do this by having the foot raised to the sky and then lowering the heel down towards the floor and bringing the heel backwards just off the surface of the floor. Keep the navel contracted and the circles fluid. Do about 6 or 7 in this direction. Extend the leg to the sky, release the leg when you're ready, and move to the other side. I know a lot of you will still be moving through the first side, that's all good. But when you're ready, move to the other side. And when you've finished your 6 or 7 in both directions to each side, you'll simply rest, and you can come all the way down to Shavasana for 3 big abdominal yogic breaths. So we're going to move into both legs together now. Once again, this is definitely requires good strength in the abdomen to do this posture correctly, with both legs as if they have a rubber band around the ankles, and moving in these exaggerated cycling movements again. So feel free, if you would like to move the hands further in under the sacrum, creating that lock, or come down to Shavasana. Shavasana, I feel, is slightly less of a strain sometimes to do the double leg, so you can choose. And the other third little option for you is to do this from bent knees, and doing it from bent knees definitely reduces the difficulty, so feel free to do this. But in your next inhalation, just as if it was the left or the right, you would move in. Perhaps start with inhaling both legs up towards the 90, bending the knees, the toes run out along just above the surface of the floor, and then they lift all the way back up and move through this full rotation, strong through the belly. Keep the navel engaged, drawn back to the spine. Don't forget that you're doing them in both directions, so 6 or 7 in each direction. Of course, feel free to try the difference, feel into the difference if you do this from Shavasana. Everybody's different and has a different experience with this. No hurry. When you're resting, you will rest in Shavasana in preparation for moving into Kandarasana. So feel free, once you've finished and you've taken a couple of recovery breaths, to move in preparation for the shoulder pose, not the shoulder stand, the shoulder pose, Kandarasana. Bending your knees, bringing the heels into the outside edges of the buttocks and feeling with the fingers down towards the heels. We're going to move straight into this. Unless you're feeling any deep restriction or any restriction in your back or lumbar spine, then feel free to do a few flows in your own time, but before engaging fully in the pose. But otherwise, we are going to take a deep inhalation, press into the soles of the feet, lift the pelvis up towards the ceiling as much as we can. And once the pelvis is up, we're going to walk the arms in, interlace the fingers, and have the fingers and hands run down towards the heels. And when they rest, they may rest somewhere around the sacrum area or further down even. It's like a little walking motion of the hands down towards the feet, and this enables the upper arms to pop further in underneath the scapula, which is what we're looking for, so that we can lift the chest up towards the chin and fully activate through Vishuddhi chakra. If you haven't already, please engage with the Ujjayi breath. Restriction of the glottis, thickening through the walls of the throat. Deep inhalation and exhalations here. The adductor muscles are engaged, the thighs and knees are in parallel. The breath is fortifying and bringing perseverance and heating. Breath is internally warming the body, activating our psychic awareness. And also, everybody knows that they're welcome to come out whenever they need. Just hold for as long as feels right for you today. I am going to cue you that when it's time to come out, you'll release the arms, and then the spine will gently, a vertebrae at a time, return to the mat. Just take your time. If you're still holding and feeling into it, please feel free to continue to hold. When you do come out, stretch fully into full Shavasana and take 2 or 3 deep breaths in Shavasana before you draw the knees up and hug them into the chest and lift and release the neck, bringing the nose in between the knees. And when you took the head back to the floor, you tilt the forehead a little towards the sky and then roll the cervical spine back to the mat, ensuring that there's no restriction here. And then once I've releasing the knees and back to Shavasana, I'm going to ask that you contract the navel and come all the way up to sitting in base, in Parambik Sthiti, in base pose. And we're going to move into Setu Asana. So the spine is nice and straight and the legs are stretched out long in front of you. Just do a little bit, we're just going to do a few little ankle flexions before we move into Setu Asana, to let the calves especially know what we're doing, because sometimes these can cramp up a little. As you inhale, draw the toes as far as you can back towards the hips, navel engaged. As you exhale, lower the toes all the way down towards the floor. So an exaggerated movement of flexion and extension. The heels remain on the floor, or maybe just slightly, a whisper off the floor. And just move with the breath. Inhale, extend fully, trying to touch the toes to the ground. Exhale, flex, drawing the toes back towards the hips. Once more, inhale, extend. Sitting nice and tall, hands supporting the back. and flex one last time. So with Setu Asana, the legs are together, feet almost touching each other or touching each other. You start in base here, then we slide the hands back behind us, leaning into the palms, and lift the entire body off the floor, drawing the toes down towards the mat. Lift up as high as you can. Have a little play with the hands, it's all good. You might want to reposition. Some people find it better to have the wrists revolving in the other direction, hands pointing away from you. So have a little play. What you really want to do is bring length to the arms and lift the heart towards the sky. Open as much as you can through the heart and flat through the collarbones. Strong through the shoulders, and when you exhale, you release back to the floor. And I'm going to ask you to do this perhaps a couple more times flowing, and then if it feels right, you can do it once holding. So you'll inhale, lift the hips towards the sky, strong through the arms. The head can stay neutral facing the sky, or you can tuck the chin in towards the chest, or you can let the head move backwards, casting the forehead back behind you. And then you'll let go of this. If you would like to hold, feel free to do one holding. And then come down to rest. You might like to counter actually first in a little forward bend. So when you're in have released fully from Setu Asana, from base position, sitting very straight with a nice straight spine. Inhale, contract the navel. Exhale, hinge forward over the soft or bent knees into a forward bend. Hold a few breaths here at the tailbone, at Svadhisthana. And then when you're ready, release on a extension on the inhalation and a release on the exhalation whenever you're ready, walking the back and all the way back up to upright. So we'll leave asanas there for today, and I'm going to ask you to prepare for pranayama. So just coming to sit comfortably for about just 10 minutes. Feel free, please roll up your mat or your blanket or your cushion and just tip it under the tailbone to help you sit effortlessly still and stable for 10 minutes of pranayama. Please be comfortable. Feel free to use the wall if you would like to, so that you're won't be distracted by your physical body. Choosing a mudra for the practice, and once the hands are in mudra, an awareness of the spine And then casting the awareness over the entire body, starting with the outside edges of the body and bringing them to stillness. The eyes closed. The breath is natural and spontaneous. And as the breath rises in the body, it falls again and brings the body to complete stillness and stability. The navel, as I said, is slightly engaged, and this helps the torso to remain stable and still. And now with the body still, any little final adjustments made for your comfort will leave the body and just be aware of the breath. We'll leave the body and our awareness will remain simply with the breath. The inhalation and the exhalation. Start firstly with an awareness of the inhalation being full. And with it comes contentment and fulfillment. And be aware of the exhalation being long. And with it comes ease and steadiness. And just focus on this for the next few breaths. And now just transferring your awareness between the two nostrils, the left nostril and the right nostril, and being aware of the nostrils, the sensation of the breath, the feeling of the breath entering and leaving the body, the warmth and the coolness of the breath. And then I'm going to ask you to drop your awareness down to the belly, and behind the navel to Manipura. And we're going to move into some Vastrika, the Vastrika being the bellows breath, dynamic on the inhalation and the exhalation. It's a very diaphragmatic breath. As we inhale and exhale, the navel pumps out and in, snapping in and out. First of all, we start with a reasonably passive and normal natural inhalation. And as we do, the belly swells. And then as we exhale, we push the air out of the nose, snap the navel back to the spine. And then the next time we breathe in, it's dynamic, snapping the navel out, exhale back in. If you're reasonably new to this breath and you haven't done it before, then you can place your hand on your belly, and it can just be a little guide for the rhythm of the breath. Otherwise, the hands can remain on the knees. If you're very used to doing this breath, then I'm going to ask you to do it with Nasagra Mudra. And you would just place the forefinger and the middle finger at the eyebrow center and use the thumb and the ring finger to block off the nostrils. I'll ask that you do 3 rounds, 27 through the right nostril, 27 through the left, and then 27 through both nostrils. And then I'll ask that you repeat that another whole time. So another 3 rounds of 27. If you're moving very dynamically and very well used to this breath and you want to increase it to 36 or 54 because you're moving rapidly, then feel free to do this also. We're going to do 3 rounds, 27 breaths, left, right. And if you're not using your mudra, then you just know. It's like Anuloma Viloma. 1 round moves the right, 1 round the left, 1 round through both nostrils, and you are visualizing seeing this. Each round ends with a long inhalation and exhalation before you move to the next. The rest of the body stays completely still. Only the belly is moving in and out, and the hands when you shift nostrils. Shoulders stay still, chest is still. Blood out of muscle at the top of the belly moves up and down. Although the belly, lower belly, the whole belly moves in and out, the concentration is more upward towards the top of the belly. When you're finished, and there is no hurry, but when you have finished both your sets, I'm going to ask that the hands return to your chosen mudra and that you move into the Ujjayi breath. We'll bring in a little japa, 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 silent repetition this time of Om as you breathe in, Om as you breathe out with the Ujjayi breath. Natural, spontaneous Ujjayi breath. As you flow in and out with the Ujjayi and Om, you can transfer one pointed awareness to Brahmatya at the eyebrow center. And then letting go of the mantra first, retaining the ujjayi, but letting go of the mantra. And then releasing the mantra, releasing the ujjayi. And just sit with no effort now, just the breath, only the breath, no effort. Send the breath awareness back to the body, sending the breath awareness back to the body. Feeling into the touching points of the body to the floor. When you're back to the body, the room around you, your energy, collective energy, then safely release your seated asana and come to lay in shavasana with your head directed towards me, covering yourself with a blanket for warmth. And we'll finish with a short Nidra vidya. Covering yourself, maybe the temperature is dropping a little. You might like to cover yourself with something light for warmth, as your body temperature will drop also. You don't want to be distracted by the body starting to feel chilly in any way, or a breeze. And then the arms away from the outside edges of the body, the palms to the sky, the thumb and forefinger joined in chin mudra, the lips are closed. The teeth are apart and the tongue rests off the roof of the mouth. And you come immediately back to that awareness of the breath moving through the body. Perhaps at the soles of the feet. And like waves of energy, moving up the body and down the body. And with this comes warmth and softness, ease to the entire physical aspect of yourself. Feeling ease. Feel into this sense of spaciousness and expansiveness throughout the body. It's supported by the floor, so that you know you can give all weight being retained in the body to the support beneath you. You know that the waves of life-sustaining energy moving up through the body are releasing any tension or tightness held within the body. You're aware of this. And examine for just a moment the space of the mind space, and identify anything that you may be holding on to that causes any anxiety or tension. Any worries that have crept into this space, release them now. Release them now. Empty the space. And then be aware of the space being empty now. If you find that shapes or images or colors or thoughts, visions are entering the space, just let them pass by. Don't get involved with them. Simply be aware that they're moving on, that they're only passing. Don't attach any significance to them. They're just passing. Briefly bring to mind and into the space your sankalpa. Briefly bring to mind and into this space your sankalpa. And then release the sankalpa. And bring your awareness back to your breath. I'm going to ask that you spend the next few moments simply being aware of the sound of your breath. No other sounds touch the space. The only awareness is the sound of your breath. It's rhythmic. Fluid. Deeply cleansing and healing. Sound its own, the sound of it itself, bringing with it calm and ease. Now I'm going to ask you to leave the sound of the breath, let go of the sound of the breath, and move into your heart space. Move into your heart space, the Hridaya Kasha, and locate your heart. Move into your heart space and locate your heart. One of the psychic symbols of Anahata is an unflickering candle flame. And I'm going to ask that you go to within this heart. Visualize, see, imagine the heart as it is now within the heart space. And move right into the very center of it. And visualize a unflickering single candle flame, illuminating, healing, warming space in the heart. Neither flickers nor disappears. And you're watching it with complete concentration. So let the flame go. Stay separate from the thoughts. And then next, I'm going to ask that you leave the flame burning brightly, warming and healing the space. And I'm going to ask you to start working with the mantra, love and compassion. As you inhale, inhale love. As you exhale, exhale compassion. I am inhaling love. I am exhaling compassion. Move fully into the sensations of love and compassion. Feel into them. Feel them build and build within the being. I am inhaling love. What does love feel like? How does it manifest within you? I am exhaling compassion. How does compassion feel and manifest within you? I am inhaling love and exhaling compassion. No other thoughts. This is all. I am inhaling love. I am exhaling compassion. Someone needs your compassion and love most at this moment. Intuitively, who is this? You know who this is. It could be yourself. But be aware now, visualize, see them in your mind's eye, even if it is yourself. See them in your mind's eye and be aware that as you inhale love and exhale compassion, that it is being sent to this person. Now, full focus and awareness of sharing this. And then letting go of this image, letting go of this image, let go of the mantra, let go of the mantra, travel up into the Chitakasha, into the mind space, travel up into the space. Feel into the expansiveness and stillness in this space. Your whole being completely filled with compassion and love, and you simply resting within it in this beautiful space. So warm and soft and infinite. Eternal is this space. Vast. There's no separation. You rest in this space, filled, brimming with love and compassion. And you rest here in the knowledge that all is well. Everything you see, everything you touch, she is your love. She is your compassion. Rest here. Rest in the love. And into this space filled with love and compassion, bring your sankalpa. Into this space, bring your sankalpa. Repeat it to yourself a minimum of 3 times. And then send your awareness to your breath and your breath to your body. Send your awareness to your breath and your breath to your body. And then start to bring gentle movement back to the body. Gentle movement, feet, hands, head, body. Don't feel that you need to sit up. You might like to stay exactly where you are. You might like to turn over and rest on your side. Don't feel that you need to sit up. I'm going to simply chant 3 arms to close the class, and please feel free to stay where you are. Even if you'd like to arm, you can arm from where you are. Deeply relax. Hari Om Tat Sat. Namo Narayan. Nidra Vidya is now complete. Thank you for joining me. Go well for the rest of the day. For those of you who have the time, we have meditation and pranayama tomorrow. And I've done a new schedule, so I can't remember when it is. But it's tomorrow. I think I left it in the morning. At around 10 o'clock. So if you're free then, please come and join me. This, it is, the asana is all good, but the true gold is in the meditation and the pranayama. Have a wonderful rest of your Easter weekend. I love you all. Take care and stay safe. Hari Om.